Coming at you full-fledged. It's your boy Regg, with another video for y'all, man. Welcome, YouTube. So, the Minnesota Timberwolves just capped off the 4-game sweep against the Phoenix Suns, my Phoenix Suns, in a 122-116 road win. Now, the game, it was close from beginning to somewhat to the end, despite just great performances, and I'm going to say just in caps from Suns' point guard, quote-unquote, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. Of course, they won. Minnesota Timberwolves won with clutch steals at the end during the fourth quarter. But throughout the game, it was their physicality and they rebounded, particularly on the offensive boards, that helped 17-9 advantage. They got the Suns' players, a lot of their players in foul trouble. Bradley Beal eventually got fouled out at the end of the game, which really at that point didn't mean anything. And again, I said the clutch steals. The clutch steals that really just capped it off with those extra possessions. Now, the game is just a microcosm of the entire series. I saw majority of this series, and I can say that the T-Wolves' defense was the primary factor behind them winning. Of course, they got the number one defense in the league, so that's bound to happen. But it was two things. It was defense inside the paint and they perimeter D that helped. Of course, they rebounds again with those 2 7-footers playing power forward and center, helping. Then they got long defenders too. So, and the Phoenix Suns are just small, bro. So they gonna get ate up on the glass in this series, and that's what happened. And the T-Wolves is role players. Jaden McDaniels, he was the player of the game in game 2. He had like 25 points, going off, looking like a dog, looking like Anthony Edwards in game 2. Then they got Kyle Anderson, who's a great role player. Naz Reid been doing this thing. Has Naz Reid, has he been a 6th Man of the Year candidate recently? I'm pretty sure he been. Then what's his name? Nicholas Alexander Walker, SGA cousin. He been good. He been solid this series I've seen. Overall though, Minnesota's key winning players of this series, in my opinion, were Karl-Anthony Towns and the Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, because Karl-Anthony Towns at 7 foot plus, playing power forward, which is not his typical position. We know since Rudy Gobert then came from the Jazz to Minnesota, he's taken over the center position. That was an advantage. Now KD had to guard Cat and more boards, more taller players, more boards. And Karl-Anthony Towns, we know he's one of the greatest 3-point shooter, big man. We know all that. We know his bag, etc. So that's what happened in that series, and that's what led Minnesota getting a first playoff series win since 2004. That's a big deal. Now, what's next for them is the conference finals. The conference semifinals. I'm speaking a little too soon. I'm excited, bro. This is a big deal. This is a brand new team with a new legacy. First playoff win since 2004 again. Now, the future for them sees, again, the conference semifinals against the second seeded defending champion Denver Nuggets. In the regular season, they had a 2-2 record against them. We will see how that turns out for them. Now, enough for the Timberwolves. Let's get into these Phoenix Suns, man. They entire season, from the beginning to this fucking sweep, bro. This entire season, from the beginning to the middle to the end, has been a reflection of whimsical decisions from the front office. I've seen it bear its fruit during the whole process. Let's start at the Robert Sarver thing, bro. The whole Robert Sarver thing, the previous owner of the Phoenix Suns, getting outed as a racist, a sexist, a bigot, just an overall shithead. After that, they have to get rid of him. PR for the NBA, they have to get rid of him. And they get a whole new lineup. They get a whole new owner. And with a whole new ownership, it's whole new regime, whole new staff. So you know what that means. Monty Williams gets let go for Frank Vogel. Chris Paul ultimately gets his walking papers. They don't want to re-sign him. He ultimately goes to the Golden State Warriors. New GM again. And something that I wasn't surprised by, but again it left me a little before the trade for Kevin Durant. Now, I spoke about it before, how Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have developed a relationship in the 2021 Summer Olympics or whatever that was. So it was under. I could see the writing on the wall, but as a Suns fan, I am going to say that was a mistake trading for Kevin Durant, trading for quote unquote star power over our stability, our defense, our depth. Stuff that we already had established was not it. We know Kevin Durant's archetype. He is a all-time great mercenary. On the Golden State Warriors, a dynastic team. What we had was a culture on the Suns. Acquiring KD gutted all that culture. Therefore, they had to, on the fly, create a culture with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And that's the culture they got now is not the culture that they had in the 2021 finals. Not even in 2020 in the bubble. It's a culture of offense, just bucket getting, quote unquote bucket getting. Offense, nothing else, no defense, no kind of intricacies, no really like play calling. Like, you saw this game, bro. I knew they was going to lose it. And to get into that, let's get into this goddamn Bradley Beal acquisition, bro. This Bradley Beal acquisition. Now, I knew it was good. I saw what the free agent market was looking like at the time, and I was like, damn, well, who we gonna get? I did say Fred VanVleet, but he ended up going to the Rockets. Fred VanVleet would have been a good pickup. I said there could have been a possibility for a point guard. The point guard slots was kind of light in free agency market. But then I see we end up getting Bradley Beal, who is not a point guard. He's not a point guard, which is our issue. Which was our issue getting KD and knowing that Chris Paul is leaving. We already knew that was an issue, that we didn't have a point guard. So we get another shooting guard, an undersized shooting guard at 6'3", and Bradley Beal, who is not Chris Paul, who is still better than Bill. I might add. I'm going to add to that. And he's never been in a winning situation. He's been in a lottery team. He's saying he never got swept. Bradley Beal saying he never got swept. You never been in a winning situation, a consistent enough winning situation to be in a situation where you could get swept. You was either in a playoff run where you made it to the second round by some mediocre teams and you got bounced out by the better team in the second round, or you got bounced out in the first round. You were supposed to be the guy to take them over the hump. You didn't do it. 9 points, 6 turnovers. 9 points, 6 turnovers. Terrible. Then Yusuf Nurkic, he is not a starting center. He is not a starting center in the NBA. That shit could have worked in Portland with Dame Lillard. And they traded, that just reminded me, they traded the first round pick in 2018, DeAndre Ayton, to the Portland Trailblazers because somehow it was some friction between him and Devin Booker, or him and Chris Paul, and him and Monty Williams during the finals. And then in 2022 when they won 64 games, they franchise record. Then they ended up getting bounced out in embarrassing fashion by the Mavericks. Stuff happened all in between that time. It couldn't be resolved, and he ended up having to leave. That was a mistake too. They got rid of their first round pick in the draft, the first pick in the 2018 draft, center, for Yusuf Nurkic. That's not it. We undersized, we incomplete. Like Grant Hill said on the broadcast earlier in the game, we have no flexibility because we got these 3 fucking max players, really 2 max players, but this guy that's getting paid because he overachieved on a bad team for so long. So what they gonna do next year? What are the Suns gonna do next year? Are they gonna keep Bradley Beal? I think Chris Paul was on a 1-year deal. I hope so, because they need to get him back. Frank Vogel has to go. They can't get Monty Williams back. We need to look what's on the free agent market, bro. I know they probably hired Frank Vogel out of sympathy, out of how LeBron and the Lakers just disposed of them after they got their fraud bubble championship. But we don't do sympathy hires here. We trying to win championships. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much on the Suns. Congratulations to the Timberwolves, man. New history for the Timberwolves. I'm glad to see new guys come up and excel, man, in the league. Let me know what y'all think, man. But first, hit that like button, share for others to see, comment down below, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And the next round with the Nuggets and the Timberwolves, that's going to be interesting.